Hello, everybody, and welcome to OutWrite. As you can see, I'm not Christopher. I'm a new host for a new year. My name is JQ, and you can use any pronouns for me.
I'm Rainer. I use he, him pronouns.
I'm Ellie. I use she, they pronouns.
And I'm Christine. I use they, them pronouns.
And now that we've covered that, today's topic for SpeakOut is all things related to coming out. So I thought that first we could go around and do like a little silly coming out story, just to keep the mood light before we get really depressing and talk about politics or something. And I know that Ellie, you had. Okay, Rainer tells me that you had a little silly story. If you wanted to.
It's just kind of like silly and little cute, but I realized I was gay in like 7th grade, and I was like, wow, we're gonna put a pin in that and forget about it. And then I was like, freshman year of high school, I was like, wait. Actually, maybe take the pin out of that and maybe think about that again. And then, like, sophomore year, I was like, okay, I should, like, do something about this. I should, like, say something. And I got really lucky because all of my friends are, like, very liberal and very supportive, which is crazy because I come from Orange County.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Orange County.
Yeah. Turns out that we were all slay and liberal because we were all queer and all just didn't know it yet, but
As it goes.
that's a later thing. At this time, we were all quote-unquote straight. But I realized I was gay, and I was like, wow, this is gonna be, like, an event, because we all don't know any gay people. We knew one gay person, actually. Point is, not many gay people to be found. So I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be, like, a thing. So first I came out to, like, a bunch of my closest friends, just, like, 4 of them, ones I had, like, known for, like, all my life, and we were, like, besties and whatever. And I came out to them in the back of my theater at school.
That's so
Like,
gay.
clowny.
No, but like kind of iconic also.
Yeah.
Like
Gay found in theater? Crazy.
unrealistic.
Crazy and bonkers. Yeah, so then I did that, and we cried, and then I was like, okay, guys. I have a plan. I have a vision for how this is gonna go for the rest of our friend group.
Oh, vision.
I had a vision. And it worked out. It was amazing. It was beautiful. So I made, with those best friends, we decided we're going to make a 3-layer cake. And inside of the cake, it is going to be the 3 colors of the bisexual flag.
Oh.
So we got together like day of my birthday party. It was for my birthday party. When I turned 16,
Oh
LOL.
my god.
Was the birthday party 2 months late? Yes, but that's okay. But yeah, so we got together like day before my party, or like day of my party, but before the party. And then we made a little cake, and we were like, oh my god, we're just gonna cover it in rainbow sprinkles. We're gonna like hint, but...
A classic.
Yeah, right? So then I cut my silly little cake, and everyone was like, wow, colors. And then I was like, wow, a gay person. And then I cried. And then it was very sweet, and it was good, and I don't know, it was nice. And it was fun and very, very baby gay, and I liked it. It's a very good memory.
I feel like making a rainbow cake. I feel like that's very standard, and I like that you elevated it one notch by doing like the bisexual cake.
Yeah.
With the rainbow sprinkles.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There was layers to that.
Yeah, I don't know if I know anyone who's done like a planned coming out actually, except you. Then that's kind of
It feels kind of like with the cake. It feels kind of like when couples do the baby gender.
No! So first, your child is queer.
when bisexual.
Assigned bisexual. Actually, I also have kind of a funny coming out story. I feel. So I resisted coming out to my parents for like the longest time. Like I didn't come out to them until last year, even though I have been fully aware that I'm on the gay train for like a long time. But I just hate telling anyone anything.
Mysterious only.
Yeah, I'm very mysterious. That's why I overshare on the internet.
Oh, real.
The only reason I came out was I'm not going to show this, but I have rainbow shoelaces on my shoes, and I had gotten them as an early birthday present from my sister, who I was out to. So I got them over Thanksgiving break, and then I put them in my shoes, and I was like, oh, this is so fun, I like it so much. And then when it came to winter break, I got so mad at the idea that I would have to unlace my shoes and relace them up, which I fucking
You were
hate
committed to
doing.
keeping
And I was
it a
like,
secret.
fine, I'll just come out so I don't have to relace my shoes.
Wait, that's so real.
No, that's valid.
they were supportive. It turned out, as well as could be expected.
That's good.
And I still have these shoelaces, and I'm never taking them out because it is such a pain in the ass.
Real.
No, I washed my shoes over the summer, and I had to take out the laces. It was such a pain in the ass.
I can't believe you didn't relace them with rainbow laces, though.
I know.
That's what you get when you join OutWrite. You get rainbow shoelaces.
So true. That's just so Tumblr coded of us, though.
No, don't say that!
So many people go, oh, I like your shoelaces, and I have to stare them in the eye and try and divine their intentions. Because 75% of the time, they think I just have cool shoelaces. But the other 25% of the time, I look at them and I see fear.
Do you ever respond with
Only once, but it was because I saw fear and I was like, I need to do this for me.
As you should.
Did you respond like be intimidated?
No.
What was the
Oh no,
response?
the Tumblr
The response
response
is, thanks, I stole them from the president.
It was
What?
in like 2010s era.
Yeah.
Tumblr.
It was like, find
There's
somebody else who uses Tumblr by telling them you like their shoelaces.
And then you
they
respond,
Oh.
I stole them from the president, and then you both know that you're on Tumblr.
And then the post
Yeah.
had like
Okay.
a gif of Obama, so you know when it's from.
Obviously, I was not a Tumblr kid. I mean, clearly. So this is all beyond me.
Yeah,
Like-
That's
Use
okay,
gays.
we're revoking your gay card. Just kidding. Some gay people we're not as chronically online, or just chronically online in different places.
Chronically online on different curse sites.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
true. Everyone
So
had
true.
a curse site, at least.
at least
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It can be a weird forum.
Yeah.
Hopefully not Reddit.
Hello. No, because since deleting TikTok, I've become like a Reddit scroller, and I'm like, wow, I need to stop. I need to cut myself off.
Wait, that's so crazy because I found like my coolest like queer roommates through like Reddit.
Wait, that's wild.
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's good pockets of
My
Reddit.
first
Yeah.
girlfriend was like such a Reddit girly, which like, there were good parts and bad parts.
Oh no.
No. Do you have a funny coming out story?
I actually I haven't come out to like the vast majority of the people that I know. Though I think over the years I have probably like deviated a lot from what I would consider like just straight passing, i.e. like how I was presenting in like high school. Like my style has definitely changed a lot and like personal expression. But I guess like a nice like way of coming out that I remember is just like telling my sister about it on like a random Tuesday night or something. I was like, because we like shared a room in high school, so I just like we were working right next to each other. I would like turn around to her and say, hey, so like I'm Demi, and she was like, cool, and I was like, also I'm Envy. She was like, cool, what pronouns do you want me to use? And I was like, well, that was fast. Okay. And luckily I've had like similar responses from the people that I've come out to in my life, including like the friends that I had at the time that we still keep in touch with because they're cool and very accepting. So yeah, those are all the people that I feel like I've like explicitly come out to, actually.
Yeah.
That's surreal. I feel like it's always funny when people have such a neutral reaction. They're just like, cool.
Yeah.
Moving on, I guess.
But I feel like I prefer it. I mean, like, because maybe that's just how I react when people come out to me. I'm like, okay, you got it, buddy. But I don't want anyone to make a big deal about it.
It's like, no,
Yeah.
we need to throw you a gay party.
Yeah,
now.
it's like, I don't want the gay cake. It's not that. I'm sure
I
yours
do.
was delicious.
I do.
But
You
I'm
want
just.
different, yeah.
I'm a food
Yeah.
coloring hater.
Oh god.
I feel like it does kind of give me mixed feelings about coming out, because I feel like on one hand it's supposed to be this like, oh, you're celebrating your identity, but on the other hand I'm like, but what if no one cared, please?
Wait,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
ideally.
It's just like being accepted for your identity more than like celebrating it. I feel like, at least to me, it's just like
Yeah.
hoping that like, hey, so like this is like what I'm clarifying, like an assumption that you might have made about me, and like I hope you can just accept that moving forward with like no extra like bells and whistles.
Okay, I guess I'll share my silly one.
Yeah.
Then we can move on to the next topic. I think I've already like shared this on the podcast actually the one time I was on it. But when I had my mom come out to my grandparents for me because I don't have like the language capacity really to like explain. But when my mom told my grandpa that I was trans, he was like, yeah, that's just the natural evolution of man. And didn't elaborate at all. So yeah, that's probably the silliest response I've gotten.
Yeah, that's pretty silly.
It is pretty silly.
Wow.
Who knows what he meant by that? But based? Question mark?
All men trans?
Yeah, I guess. Inevitably.
Final form of humanity, all just trans men.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, maybe.
Now
Hopefully
I'm like,
not, but
now I'm imagining like the evolution of man, like the diagram where it says like with like the ape and then like
Oh,
it's
Yeah.
like a standing man, but it's just Rainer at the end.
you know.
no.
Wait, or
You
you know,
know-
like the meme where there's like the woman who's like reaching down to pick up a book, and then
I was really
Oh my
just
God.
here. You know the syndrome quote from The Incredibles? It's like, if everyone's trans, no one is. Like, that's your grandfather.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
The future liberals want. Actually, probably not.
No.
There's room for more than just trans.
Yeah,
men.
hopefully not just
Yeah.
trans men. Other types of trans people as well. And some cis people, I guess, can stay.
So, if they're lucky, if they can prove themselves.
Being gender nonconforming is fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're nice. No, I'm just kidding.
Happy first episode to me. I will immediately get canceled for this.
But more like I get canceled. The editor of OutWrite canceled.
Editor of OutWrite hates cis people.
oh my god.
Real, not clickbait. No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely clickbait. Don't write about us. That's our job. So I have my little focus questions here. And I feel like an interesting one is, like, what does it mean to you to be out in general? Like, does coming out feel like something you're ever sort of done with, or do you think it's going to be lifelong?
Good question. I don't know. I think for me, like, the concept of being out, I understand, like, why it's been pushed forward a lot, because, it's, like, important for the queer community to have visibility, to, like, have rights and stuff, because you're all like, I pretend I do not see it. It's like, the gay people do not exist, the trans people do not exist. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it was important in, like, that way. But I'm taking a class called, like, the Queer 90s right now.
Ooh.
And, yeah, which is, like, really cool. Mm-hmm. And we read an article by Judith Butler, which was honestly very, very hard to understand.
It's pretty
Peace
heavy.
and love. But, there was a part about, like, how outness isn't, like, accessible to everyone. Especially, like, if you are, like, a person of color, for example. And, like, I mean, I've had the privilege of being able to, like, be out to my parents and, like, my family and stuff. But it was, like, a process. And so I think, like, for me, I think if I wasn't trans, like, if I was, like, some other type of, like, queer, I probably wouldn't be, like, coming out to people as much, because I kind of think it should be, like, more just existing instead of, like, constantly having to, like, broadcast your, like, identity. But because I am trans, it's, like, kind of hard to, like, avoid it, because otherwise, like, I'm like, oh, I need to tell you, like, what my pronouns are, and then most people, like, figure it out from there. Or, like, I'll lead with, like, oh, I'm trans, so I use, like, he, him pronouns or something like that. But, yeah, I think it's important to, like, consider about, like, who can be out and, like, why is it safe? Is it safe for everyone to be out? Do we need to expect everyone to be out? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's a good point there about being out isn't, like, the pinnacle of being queer. And it's not something that is necessarily owed to anyone, even other queer people. I definitely think that it's like, I mean, I feel like, oh, you should expect people to come out. I feel like that's queer discourse that's like 1,000,000 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying anything new here, but I do think it is important to consider, like, basically what Rainer said, like, the circumstances around being out, especially when it's like your sexuality, which probably doesn't come up that much. Like, obviously, I mean, I'm not wearing my jacket now because it's too hot, but if I was, like, I have a, like, big lesbian pin, so you can, I'm kind of advertising here, but I definitely don't think it's, like, I think I'm an outlier for that one.
I definitely agree with what Rainer said about, like, that being out isn't about, like, being, like, I'm here, necessarily, like, I like the idea of it just being, like, us existing, because I think that's kind of the place that I've reached with how I'm existing in the world and going about handling my sexuality. Because I am cis, so I don't have to, like, really discuss my gender. I use she, they pronouns, because pronouns don't equal gender, and I think that they're silly and I like them.
So real.
As you should.
Yeah. But, like, with my sexuality, like, for a while it was tough because I'm out to pretty much everyone except for, like, my extended family. Because most people I tell in, like, my daily life, I'm like, you know what, if you don't like me and if you don't like that part of me, then I can just never talk to you ever again.
Yeah.
But, like, with my extended family, it's got, like, a whole weight to it or whatever. And that was really hard for a while. Like, that was something I struggled with.
Like,
Especially
not
during
being out to them?
Yeah, like, there was a while where it's like, do I just, like, tell them? Do I just get it over with? Because this is really crappy to be, like, torn up about, like, oh my god, if they really knew me, they would hate me, or whatever. Which was silly.
Are they
And
kind
then-
of homophobic coded?
Like, some of them are? Well, because they're old Asian Christian people. So, like, I kind of just assumed. I found out more recently that a lot of them, or at least a lot of, like, the younger ones, are more slay.
That's good.
And, like, I could tell them, and I'm thinking about it, but I'm kind of lazy, so I don't. But I kind of just assumed for my own safety that everyone was dangerous to come out to. Because, you know, if you tell the wrong person, they tell everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a little sidetracked there. Point is, struggling with who to not tell was difficult. But I found that it doesn't really affect my daily life. Because I'm out to pretty much everyone else that I know. Like, all my friends and my, direct family that I actually have to, like, see all the time. All of them know, so I'm kind of just exist. And everyone new that I meet just finds out because I'll make a joke about how beautiful women are. And they'll be like, wow, you're queer. And I'm like, really? Crazy, you didn't know that. The only reason that my sexuality ever really gets brought up is because I bring it up. And because it's and the only reason I bring it up is because it's such a big part of my identity. That it's just like, oh, I'm tall, and I like women. You know, kind of same level of, like, importance there for significance of other people knowing it.
I think I wanted to focus on, like, the last part of the question that you brought up, like, the whole, like, is coming out, like, a process that, like, never really ends, right? Like, or is it, like, a continuous, like, thing? And I think, at least, like, for me personally, like, the whole, like, gender versus, like, sexuality thing, I just, like, never have, like, willingly brought up, or, like, have never brought up, like, the sexuality part of me, or, like, come out in that way. Just because, like, again, it, like, doesn't come up in conversation often, and also because I'm just, like, not interested in, like, that part of myself, really, or sharing that with other people. Whereas, like, for the non-binary aspect, I think it's been, like, the only times when I've, like, explicitly, like, said something about it to people are, like, when it's something that's, like, private enough, for me at least, that I will only tell them if I trust them enough to, you know, like, tell them about it, and, like, to tell them to use my preferred pronouns, and if I, you know, believe that they're going to respect, like, what I have told them. And, usually, like, if they're already, like, misgendering me, it's, like, kind of, okay, like, why would I tell you anymore?
Yeah, like, you've not made this a safe space.
Yeah, so, I guess, like, for me, coming out is probably going to, or I see it as, like, a continual process of, like, however often, I guess, like, I'm willing, or, like, I feel the need to, like, clarify to other people that I am what I identify as. Otherwise, it's just like, if I can go about my day, I don't really care about, like, these people that I'm talking to, then, like, I will not share that.
Yeah, I think in some ways, well, some of my experiences are similar, especially when it comes to, like specifically pronouns, because it's very easy to just, like, let people assume one way, and, like, I generally use any pronoun, so it's not even, like, they're wrong. But, like, I know in my head that the way they're using, like, she, her pronouns, usually, is not the way that, like, you use she, her pronouns for someone who uses any pronouns, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No,
So
that
there's
makes
this element of, I know I probably wouldn't even change their behavior if I was honest with them, and I feel like in some ways that might even hurt more, because I'm telling them this important fact about me, and then they're taking it like it doesn't have to affect them, which, if they're important enough to me that I'm telling them something important, then I would like it to give them some pause and reevaluate how they look at me.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's so real, though, to think about, like, how the way, like, other queer people use pronouns versus, like, the average, like, cishet person uses pronouns, or, like, like, the talking about gender meme, where it's, like, talking about gender with, like, trans people versus talking about gender with, like, cis people, and the trans one is, like, the, like, philosophers.
Yeah, it's like the philosophers in the, like, Greek forum or something.
Yeah.
It's like the guy like that.
And then the cis people is, like, explaining, like, the alphabet to a baby. Sorry, I promise I'm not such a hater. Just, like, I don't know, in my silly era.
In your soon-to-be canceled era, apparently.
No, literally. It's okay, read my article about how to be a trans ally, and then you won't be the baby being explained to.
Yay!
You'll be slightly older, baby.
No!
A toddler! Upgrades, y'all.
I feel like you read Rayner's article, and it's like, when you study a language for 2 years, and they're like, oh, you're at, like, a 5th grade proficiency, and you're like, that's nothing. But also, it took a 5th grader, like, 10 years to get there, and it took you, like, one article.
True.
So, in terms of
It's
return
like
on investment.
evolving a Pokemon. You become the next evolution of ally.
200 EXP from this article.
So, I think let's, do we want to do the when did you first come out to someone if you hadn't already done that? Because I feel like...
I think I kind of did.
Yeah.
I covered it.
Okay, we can do, like,
the back of a
more
theater.
depressing coming out
Yeah.
story. Just
okay,
kidding,
but,
they don't
like,
have to be
they were
depressing.
literally like, and then I started crying in the back of a theater. So was it really all fun and games?
But it was,
No,
like,
it was
happy
good cry. It was
Happy
good cry. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Did you come out to your friends first or your family first?
Okay, this is okay.
Okay,
A little cloudy because I thought I came out to my mom, but I think in reality that I was like, I think I mentioned to her, like, oh, I might be bisexual, but then in my little, like, 14-year-old mind, I was like, oh, I came out to her already. Check mark. Check that off the list.
Yeah.
So I thought I came out to my mom first. I was in fact incorrect because I got in the car that day after coming out to my friends, and I was like, I came out as bisexual today, and she was like, what?
She was like, huh? This is news to me.
Yeah, she's like, hello? Well, you're telling me, like, this, like, I already know, and I was like, you didn't.
That's so
But, like, it's
funny.
fine, because she was like, she's slay. She's an
Okay.
ally.
Slay.
Love my mom. But it was really silly. It was really silly.
That's really funny. Did you have a conversation
Anyways.
with her about it afterwards, or was it just kind of like, I'm bi? Anyways.
I think so. Some sort of conversation did happen, because I remember talking to her about, like, coming out to my dad and my brother after that. Who were, like, just like, oh, okay, cool. But I think I did have a discussion with her. And I've definitely had, like, multiple conversations with her about it, like, over the years. Just because, like, she's the one that I'll go talk to at, like, 10 p.m.
Aw.
Even though she wants to sleep, and I should probably sleep. And we'll just talk about
precious.
whatever. But, yeah.
Slay.
It was good. It was goofy. It was really goofy.
Silly goofy.
I think when I first came out to someone, it was probably to my sister, but in line with, like, the whole family thing. Not answering this question, but I mean, I guess, like, I've never, like, explicitly come out to my parents because I lack the language to do so, because they only understand, like, Korean, and I can't speak it. And so it's like it's difficult kind of like being in that position, right? Because over the summer when I was like seeing them very often and I like came to them with like a pretty short haircut, I guess. They're like, or my mom was like, so do you like expressing your gender mutually now? And I was like,
whoa.
Oh.
I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, I'm not even sure if that's like exactly what she asked because like I don't know what the word that she used specifically means. But like, or I mean, I do, but like the implications of what that is, I am missing like the social connotation of that.
Yeah.
So she just asked that, and I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, so do you want to wear more pants? And I was like, I mean, is that why you're wearing more pants? And I was like, I mean, I guess like I was wearing pants before too, but like, and that was like pretty much all we've talked about in terms of like like expression, and just like queerness in general. I think like I've like told her about like my interests in like, you know, like not, I guess, like cis men. And I don't know if she's like taking it seriously. Like she'll be like, oh yeah, and then she'll like laugh about it. I'll be like,
pained laughter.
yeah.
No, that's so real though. That's kind of what my mom's like initial reaction was to me coming out, because I've come out like multiple times at this point. But like I initially came out to my parents in like sophomore year of high school, and then I was like, I'm a trans guy, and then my mom literally laughed and was like, LMAO, that's such a funny joke.
No.
And then I was like, do not tell my father. And then she was like, tells him. And he also laughed. And I was like, damn, traumatized. So I went back into the closet.
Not the nightmare scenario.
Yeah, but it was like so, I feel like it's kind of like a random reaction, because I feel like most people are like, their parents are either like disapproving or like they accept you. But I was like, laughing is kind of crazy.
They're just like on copium. Like that's basically what they're doing.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm
going, haha, funny joke.
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I came out to them again in like sophomore year again, but of college. And then they were like, oh, let me process this. Actually, there's the book.
Let me not invalidate your feelings this
I've had 4 years to think about it.
Yeah.
Let me.
No, because the entire time I was like, maybe I'm not a trans guy. Maybe I'm just non-binary, but trans-masc. Which ended up, I guess, not being true. But at the time, like, whenever my mom would be like, oh, my daughter or something, I'd be like, not your daughter. Like, you know, like the character from The Good Place?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
I was so, yeah, that was me. Be like, not a girl. And so I guess maybe it, like, sunk in after, like, the 4 years of, like,
No.
that.
Not a girl.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I don't think I remember the first time I came out, because it might have been one of those things where it was like, it was known. You know, like, because my best friend currently and also all in high school is also queer, and like I think she came out to me, and I was like one of the first people that she came out to, and I was like, cool, and I was very like no reaction at all about it, and I think I accidentally in doing that communicated that I too was queer, because we never discussed it again, and yet I don't think I ever had to be like, I'm gay to her. It was just, it came to her in a dream.
Connected to the gay gods.
But I did also come out to, I have two sisters, one of them is a lesbian, so I came out to that sister, like, pretty early on, and I did it over text because I was scared, like, I didn't want to tell her in person. I was like, oh, what if my lesbian sister isn't accepting?
Of you, also.
And then I went on anxiety meds, and I got better. And the funny part is, we're not even to the funny part yet. This was, like, midway through high school, probably, and I had the denim jacket that I still have and wear all the time, and I had that for, like, a few years at this point. And she was like, oh, yeah, you know, I knew when you got the jacket. Which, like, I'm not sure I knew when I got the jacket.
No, that's kind of real. Like, my younger sibling is also queer, and I was, like, kind of waiting.
Wait, me too.
I was kind of like, wait, yours?
Yeah, no, after I came out to her, she was like, well, I think it was like a while, but one day I was like asking her if she like had any crushes in like a joking way, and she's like, yeah, actually, I don't want to like out her. Like,
oh, well, we can cut it out, I guess.
Yeah,
if you
okay, I'll
decide
like
later.
censor it. You
Okay,
can text me.
But like, she was basically like, yeah, so like, there's this girl, and I was like, okay.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah,
No, it's crazy when that happens with younger family members.
I know. I was like, you know what? That makes sense, given your reaction to my coming out to you like a while ago.
Which is like, okay, what are
Yeah.
your pronouns?
Yeah.
It's like,
This
You know what,
person
that's
knows
too
a little
much.
too much.
Yeah.
That's so silly. That's cute though.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have only one?
Yeah.
Okay. Slay.
It's really fun when all the family members are queer. It's like, yes, the whole gang is here.
Yeah, because your siblings are all.
Yeah.
It's good. Not you though.
I'm trying to figure out if anyone else in my family is gay.
I believe.
You
I
also have
believe-
siblings?
I have one sibling. I don't think he's gay. But
Oh.
I'm like, I have enough extended family that there should be hope.
you
know?
Another one.
I'm so straight though. That's
No,
fine.
for real. All my extended family too. Like, technically I'm not out to them, but none of them are ever going to watch this, so it's whatever. They're so not. I feel like it's almost kind of the same situation where it's like, they're old Christian white people, except instead of being Asian, they're white.
So true.
It's like, let's not. I feel like it almost helps that I live really far away from any of them, though, because it's like, it doesn't really come up that much. I don't have to tell them anything, because I never talk to them.
Same. Yeah.
That's wild. No, actually, speaking of like extended family though, my second cousin who I saw in Korea when I was there over the summer, he found out that I was trans because of the podcast episode.
Oh!
Yeah.
Wait, how did he even find it?
He follows me on Instagram, so he saw the story and he went and he watched the whole
my
thing.
God.
Oh.
And I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. So,
What did he
hi
say?
Patrick, if you're watching this.
Was he just like, yeah, what was his reaction? Did he...
Said he was really shocked at first.
Oh,
And then he was
yeah.
like, well, if it makes you happy. He's a little silly though, but like, peace and love. you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Like, pay attention to my life. Whoa. Should we scroll down on the notes?
Okay, wait. I wanted to ask about trope of coming out in the car.
Oh, I feel like that's
is that a
classic.
trope?
Okay, because that's when I told my mom, and I was like, wait.
Yeah, no,
Was that
I saw
like a
that
thing?
too.
That's like a thing. I read a good post, or maybe it was an essay about it one time, or it's like, it feels safer to come out in the car because it's like a liminal space with a defined
a
endpoint.
liminal space.
Yeah, liminal space is the
Oh.
transition between two more settled spaces. So if you're going from like, I don't know, like somewhere to home, then you're like not really anywhere, so it's less
Yeah.
intimidating.
Whoa, that's kind of crazy,
Wow.
actually.
I never knew that was the
Wait.
definition. I always thought of it as like a transitional space,
Yeah.
but yeah, that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
Literally,
Being in a
liminal
car,
space,
you're literally
that's
you're
crazy.
transiting.
Yeah.
You're transing.
Oh.
When-
The real reason.
But yeah, we can talk about I feel like that's a good one too, the coming out as like multiple, like, over.
Yeah, because I feel like that almost makes me like feel more like it's not a one-time thing, because
Mhm.
my understanding of my identity evolves.
Yeah.
I feel like part of the reason I took so long to come out as like a lesbian specifically, even though I was pretty sure that I was like not attracted to men. The sample
Real.
size was not insignificant, and there was 0 instances. Just because I was like, but if I tell people that I'm a lesbian and then later I come out as bisexual, then I'll be ammunition against the queer community. That
Oh, that's so real.
So it's like, I really want to be like really sure, which is kind of fucked up, because like, why do I have to be certain at like age 15? Because otherwise I won't fulfill some narrative of how being gay is supposed to work.
Yeah.
But like, it was a real motivation.
That's interesting. Like the whole pressures of like coming out, I feel like that's like probably why most people, or at least most people that I know, didn't come out until college, until they're like well into college. And like
Yeah.
maybe it was like just because of like it was the Bay Area, but like it was not exactly a safe space.
Not the Bay Area.
Yeah. But oh my god, I had a point to this. Yeah, like I think the reason why like there's not trying to justify it, but like maybe like why there is so much of that is because, like cis people don't have to, or like don't face, like having to, I guess, risk like representing this like whole very like fraught
No,
I lost the words for it.
There's an XKCD that I feel like is applicable to this situation. No, XKCD is a good webcomic, and I like it a lot.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a cartoon of like a blackboard with like a wrong math problem on it, and like one of them is like a man doing math, and it's someone pointing and going, "Wow, you're bad at math," and then the other one is like a woman doing math, and it's someone pointing and going, "Wow, girls are bad at math." And I feel like there's a lot of that, where it's like when you're queer, you feel like you have to be a representation of like the whole community, or otherwise people will point at you and go, see, like queers are indecisive and they don't know like their own identities.
Yeah, I feel like that's true for like any marginalized identity, so.
Pedestalization.
No, that's really true. I don't know, because I was kind of like back and forth a lot on gender too, because it was like, I feel like part of it is, like, also, like, the wanting to be sure to, like, not, that's real. And I feel like also part of it is, like, it becomes too real, almost, if you, like, pick the right one kind of thing. Because, like, for me, I wasn't in spaces where it was, like, okay to be out or, like, okay to be queer. Right. So, for me, like, obviously this is not true, but, like, in my, like, 8th grade, like, to, like, sophomore in high school mind, I was, like, non-binary is, like, less intense than, like, trans man, which is not true, obviously. But it was kind of, like, that's why I was, like, oscillating, like, back and forth between, like, the two for, like, a long, long time. Because it was, like, it's a little too real if it's, like, that one. But it's, yeah, I mean, I would say, like, still, it's, like, kind of interesting, like, going back to the thing you were talking about, like, representing all of the community or something. Where it's, like, people expect trans people especially, like, oh, because it's, like, you have to do something about it to, like, be really sure about, like, your identity. And so I feel like, okay, lost my train of thought again. But yeah, no, I would say, like, still, I wouldn't say, like, oh, wow, I super duper, like, feel like a man or whatever. Like, what does that mean? For any reason?
Sigma male.
My alpha male podcaster. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, because I would say, like, I guess in the way where it's like, I don't really feel like my gender is anything. I'm just like most comfortable like moving through the world in like a man way, I guess. But yeah, so I guess like technically that would still fall under the non-binary umbrella. If you just like don't have an internal sense of gender. But yeah, I don't know. That kind of went off on, like, a really random tangent. But, yeah.
Definitely, I was, like, thinking about it, and, like, definitely with my, like, gender, because I mentioned before how I use, like, she, they pronouns, but I wouldn't, like, necessarily call myself non-binary. I just think they're silly, and I like them. But, like, I remember I was thinking about using she, they pronouns for, like, a very, very long time. And it was, because I still very much like she and like her and stuff. So it wasn't like a problem or anything. But I was like, oh, what if I did? But then I was always like, oh, but I feel like I would be almost like masquerading as a non-binary person, because that's what a lot of people assume. When I say like, oh, like she, they, I like can like kind of see it, and they're like, oh, the non-binary person. I'm like, no, actually, I just think they're silly. But I'm like, I don't want to be like misrepresenting myself by using pronouns that would make people assume that I'm non-binary. And then I was like, actually, pronouns aren't gendered. If everyone thinks that, that's a them problem.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's so real.
The problem is not like what you choose for yourself. It's like the assumptions, right? So.
Yeah. I feel like that's just like a big issue with like for the queer community. I don't know, maybe just like chronically all on queer people, but like the idea that like identities are so siloed and like I don't know, like that you can only be one thing or the other, and if you use this word, you have to like be this way. When it's like actually queerness was just supposed to be like what's against the grain and like being pushing back, and like it defeats the whole purpose if you're making more boxes, because that was the reason why we have like queerness.
It's called
Yeah.
the spectrum for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No.
So it's like vibes only.
Yeah, exactly.
This might be getting a little off topic, but I really feel that is like that's like such a manifestation of like, oh, like bi women can't use butch, like
Yeah, that's
everything
stupid.
like that. Like, I do think there's such an emphasis on, like I think micro labels are great, and I think lots of people should use them, but I don't think you should be giving other people micro labels.
Yeah.
Why is this a
Yeah.
hot take? This is like the oldest, like
Literally.
this take has been out in the wilderness for like 7 years.
No, that's so true. Yeah, no, like that's a great like add-on to have, because it's like obviously it's great to have language that like feels like it reflects you and stuff, but like obviously that's only for you to decide for you and no one else.
Yeah. But also I do feel like identifying as a term that you have to define a lot, I feel like that does, like for example, I feel like mostly my gender is like butch lesbian, but I'm not
Same.
gonna like walk around like in class or something and be like, hello, please refer to me with the pronouns you would use for a butch lesbian, because that's like, we're not getting into that. So I'll just be like, yeah, they, them, close enough, I guess. Like I feel like a lot of times in coming out, it's not so much like me even being accurate as me being like, here's what will get you the best representation of me in like 10 seconds.
Wait, that's so interesting. Yeah, like filtering down your identity to
Yeah.
something that's like consumable almost for just like random strangers.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But like otherwise they'll exclusively use she, her pronouns for me, except for the one guy in class who didn't see my face because I was sitting behind him, and because my voice is low, assumed I was a man.
So true.
So like kind of iconic of him, I guess.
Spicing it up.
Yeah.
So true.
Coming out versus
Let's see, I put down coming out versus outing, but that's like an issue of consent, you know? I mean, okay, I feel like there are also cases where it feels like kind of coerced, because like, I have another point on here, where it's like, people get annoyed at you when you come out, because they feel like you were lying to them when all the time when you weren't out to them. Like, like, I'm upset that you didn't trust me enough for this.
Yeah.
That gets to me.
That's like,
Yeah, it's definitely false.
It's just so...
But unfortunately, like, yeah, people do have that reaction. I've had people have that reaction. And I'm like, bruh, there's a reason why I didn't come out to you.
Exactly.
You're kind of sus.
You're demonstrating the reason right now.
yeah.
Honestly, I feel like we're kind of coming up on time, and I have my sick little closing question, which is if we want to give people advice for coming out, or
Okay.
what you've learned from your own experiences coming out.
Must ponder this one.
It definitely helps to have another friend who maybe hasn't come out yet, but you can tell based on vibes would take it well / are queer themselves.
Like coming out to them first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then maybe like, or if you're in like a friend group like with that person, like having someone there with you, in order to make sure that like, you know, if you do tell these people who you thought were like chill, and they turn out not to be, then you're not like, oh my fucking god, my life is over.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it was really about waiting until I felt like fully ready to come out, because I feel like, especially nowadays, the nowadays of a couple years ago when it felt like things were going really well for the queer community, not the current nowadays when things are getting iffy again, which I kind of wrote an article about.
So true. Check out JQ's newest article.
I feel like there was a lot of pressure to like be out, which I kind of felt bad for resisting, because I was like, but I could be like, I should be representing the queer community. I should be like a voice for the queer community. But in the end, I'm really glad that I did wait. I feel like I was in a much like better place to handle things emotionally if they did go wrong when I came out. And so I'm really glad that I waited until I felt fully ready.
Yeah, that's important. And like building off that point, I feel like people should just come out in the way like you want to come out. Like if that means like sending a text, that's okay. Like even if people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't do things over text." Like if you want to do it over text, do
Fuck
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally.
Ugh.
If you want to have a cake, do a cake.
Yeah.
If you want to write a letter, do a letter. If you want to just like tell them and then like leave, you can also do that.
That's true.
I had thoughts and they flew out of my
Yeah,
head.
sorry.
No, it's okay. Sort of like that. Like, the way I came out was, you know, I told close friends first who I knew their politics and I knew who they were and I knew they would be accepting. So they were very safe for me to come out to. And then I had them actively helping me to make a cake to come out to literally everyone else. But it was, I don't think I would have been able to do it without them.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So, like, having people that you trust is huge. And if you feel like you can't do it on your own, because, like, technically I came out to them first, but, like, when I think of, like, coming out, I think of that, like, little party that I had. So, like, the first time you come out, it doesn't, like, because mine was, like, quote-unquote big, but it doesn't have to be, like, that big.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, like, some large event, and I was just really coming out to them just so that they could help me come out to everyone else.
Yeah.
And if you need that support, then
Yeah.
find it.
Support good.
Support good.
I feel like that's the moral of today's episode, because we definitely are set up to do morals.
Yeah, I don't.
Literally, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just like having a supportive community, or even if that community is like just one person, is like so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree. Yeah, I think also like another thing to keep in mind is like you don't have to come out. Like you can literally like never come out if you want to.
Yeah.
Like it's like we were saying, it's not the pinnacle of the queer experience. It shouldn't be treated as like the biggest thing because it's more for non-queer people than it is for like the queer person themselves oftentimes to like center that part of like queer people's narratives. And if you are in like a dangerous situation, like take time to like negotiate that for yourself, because like obviously like sometimes you just can't like not say anything anymore, and that's okay. Like sometimes you need to just like take the risk and like come out for your own like sanity, but also like if you're in a dangerous space, please be careful and don't feel like you have to come out if you don't want to and you're not ready, because your safety is what matters most, and you don't have to be some sort of like beacon for like the queer community, because like there's other people who are like looking out for you and it's not all on you. But yeah, caveat.
And even if it's not like necessarily unsafe, but just like stressful,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like
It
an
doesn't have to
ordeal,
be like
this is
crazy.
kind of like with the whole like people acting like you didn't like trust them enough to come out. Like you don't owe anyone coming out. Like your coming out is yours, and your identity is yours, and you get to decide when that is given to people and trusted with them.
So with that, I have been JQ.
I've been Christine.
I have been Ellie.
And I'm Rainer.
And you can follow OutWrite on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. Or at OutWriteNewsmag.org, you can read our articles. That's OutWrite spelled WRITE. And thank you all very much for listening.
Yay!